Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel, Julia McNeil Crafts. So today is another Dawn and Julia Create. It's my challenge this time. Fairly easy, mostly because I was on holiday and I was busy and had loads of ideas racing around my mind, because I think after having some time off you're feeling very inspired. But I also knew that I didn't have an awful lot of time either. So I've kept it nice and simple. As you know, Dawn and I love each other to bits. We're crafting besties and everything, and we both have our own ranges. So I thought it would be nice to do something that we could use both our stuff. And Dawn's latest thing, which I've been very naughty, not done any videos on as yet, because, yeah, basically just because life's a whirlwind at the minute, includes these gorgeous little ladybugs. I will admit I've cut off the legs on these bigger ones, but I've kept the legs on these ones. And obviously I am a bit obsessed with ladybugs too, so I've got Lady Dot and another one of my images. So the brief was just to make a journal page. It had to include either Lady Dot or Dotty, so it'll be interesting to see which character our lovely Dawn all went for. And to also use Dawn's ladybugs as well. So to combine them together in a page, we have pretty much carte blanche. We can do whatever we want. But yeah, it just had to include those elements. It also had to include a book page. Part of the reason I had to include a book page was because when I was away on holiday, I went to Penrith and we went to Reghead and they had the Matisse exhibition on. And honestly, if you're a paper crafter and you live in the area or visiting, so worth going to visit it. It's started off, Matisse was an artist that created things just by cutting paper. So he was sort of the original inspiration, but then it had little bits and pieces of you know, other things, and the paper, honestly the paperwork was incredible. And the thing that inspired me was they had loads of stuff that had been made from book pages and old maps and stuff like that. But they also had like these massive 3D mushrooms made out of book paper, and I was so wanted to sort of do a challenge that was something like that. But I just also knew that I wouldn't have it would have been grand ideas in no time. As this is, I am what do you call it? Oh, crafting at last minute. It's school holidays. I am trying to work and look after my daughter, and you know, so it's like we're fitting in. Can't find my tail. We're fitting in days out and keeping her entertained, and we're also trying to work. I'm trying to prep 2 shows that I've got coming up in August, so busy, busy, busy. And I can't open my jelly jam. Nope. A little tip: if you're struggling to get your lid off your gesso, just run it under hot water. Run the seal under hot water for a few minutes. You can normally sort of ease it off a little bit then. Yeah, so as I say, I've got some amazing ideas. My head's buzzing. I quite often find that I take a break from routine, and that's when I sort of think of ideas for future ranges or projects, because I'm a bit more sort of relaxed. Shouldn't really be putting gel medium on the top of that just now. Yeah, so grand ideas for plans in the future. As you can see, I'm working on a bit of a mop-up page, but I just need to wait, and we'll maybe do some of those ideas when I know I've got a little bit more time. Dawn's been very patient with me, as it is. She's lovely. I recommend everyone have a Dawn. So what do we think? Do we think she'll go? See, Dawn's very good at adding lots of extra guesses into hers, and I just sort of go with the basics. So shall I try and call it? I'm going to say she's going to go with Dotty as opposed to Lady Dot. I'll find out if I'm right or not. She's also got a very interesting challenge for us lined up for the next one, by the way. I mean, she says it's going to be fun. At the minute I'm looking at it going, whoa! But you know, I'm sure once I get going with it, it'll be fine. But to be honest, it's kind of similar to something I did to her, so I kind of asked for it in all honesty. Right, and we'll stick those down like so. So this is just to create a little bit of background, and then I'm going to get a little bit of transparent gesso, and is the same thing going to happen with the transparent gesso? gesso. I can't be bothered running to the bathroom to clear that. I've just realised I've got this other gesso that's also transparent sitting right in front of me. But you know, went into brain melt mode. Right, so I'm going to start off with a little bit of transparent gesso because I don't want to lose all the book pages. I like them and I want to be able to see the words, but I also want to knock it back a little bit so it becomes a, what do you call it, a nuance to the page as opposed to overtaking it a little bit. So I'm just going to put gesso on because that means whatever medium, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it means whatever mediums I decide to do after this, it'll take it fine. And then I'm going to grab some white gesso and with my finger I am going to smooch in some of these bits so that we have a little bit, so we knock it back a little bit, just make it a little bit more subtle. So, and then once we've done that, we'll work out what on earth we're going to do next, because right now I don't know. But that's one thing about creating, and I find the background layers, I love the fact, as I said, that they add nuances and layers to your page. It gives interest, it gives depth, so I love that. I also find that it is very, if I'm unsure of what I'm doing, just sort of having a play in the background, the bit that's almost not too important, because it's gonna, you know, it's gonna have, something's gonna go over it and then something's gonna go over it again, and so, and it just sort of, it gets you into the creative flow. So by the time you've done a few of these sort of layers, oops, that was a bit heavy handed, and by the time you've done a few of these layers, you're not having to, you're sort of in the creative process by then. You're not having to think, oh, what am I doing? You're sort of in flow by then, and it sort of naturally progresses and takes on a life of its own. It becomes its own project, and you just sort of get guided along. That's what I find. I find that I'm never one of these people that has a plan. I might have a starting point, like with this. I had a starting point. You know, I knew I was using a book page. I knew I had to use Lady Dot. I knew it had to be a Ladybug theme. That was it. You know, so I've taken a small amount, and I was reading a post on Facebook the other day. I think it was on Crafting Together with All Brands, and somebody was saying like they had loads of craft stuff and they were feeling really overwhelmed. And sometimes when we look at a massive stash, we can feel overwhelmed. Whereas actually sometimes just pulling out a couple of things from our stash and go, right, I'm using that, and just starting, then that can kind of just get us going so that we know what we're doing a little bit more. So this is one of my Diane Reevely journals. It's not one that I've really overly used. I think I've only got like 3 pages done in it. It's one that I tend to do my mop-ups up. I did this the day I got it, and I used the cover that came in it, and then that was a, what do you call it, Alina Zinsky art that I had in my bit box just to sort of finish it off. I did that one for take 5 when those challenges were running, and then other than that it's just a mop-up journal. It's not actually had many pages on it, but because the paper is kind of off-white, I thought that would work better with the book pages, because the book page that I had was sort of like a creamy colour. And just because I'm force drying it, because I have to, because I'm working the night before and I'm out all day, so I have to get this filmed, edited and uploaded tonight, because tomorrow again I'm out doing stuff with my daughter all day. By the time I come back, the challenge will be uploaded. You know, I'll not have time to do anything, so I need to get on with that tonight. So I've pulled out a few different things. I was thinking, because it is Ladybugs, let's get some dots on there. I'm just going to go with blue. I know that maybe doesn't seem the most obvious Ladybug colour, but it is a method to my madness. I'm sort of thinking that it's a little bit maybe sort of like the sky. Well, I know, but it's like I know what I'm trying to think. Like, I'm just sort of putting blue down so it's like a sky-like background. It's nothing going to be overly accurate about any of this. But just thought I'd see what occurred. Oh, that's so nice. Again, subtle layer, and this sort of matches the colours that were already there from my mop-up. I've got some smaller dots on this stencil, so I might just add some of those in just to give it a little bit of extra. I do love dots, and you can't not have dots on a page that's got ladybugs, really, can you? That's looking good. And let me see if I just grab my blending mat. I'm just going to pull in this blue around the edges of the page. Now, I have to say, this is a Diane Reevely journal. My first Diane Reevely journal I was very disappointed with, I'm not going to lie, and I think it was because I didn't understand the paper or the pages, and I didn't understand art journaling. It was sort of when I first started, and I didn't really understand the importance of gesso. I don't think this paper takes a huge amount of abuse without a little bit of assistance. So to be honest, in this journal I'd be tempted to be putting a layer of at least clear gesso down. Anyway, okay, so that's got us a bit of something. Then I might use a bit more of this stencil. Let's bring in a yellow as well, and we'll build up almost like a foliage type look. So I've got some big leaves. So this is, so far we've used the circle stencil. I can't remember if that had a posh name or if it was just as it is. I really can't remember. This is evergreen berries, and I'm going to pull in another one in a minute as well. So we've got that. That's nice. I'll just bring that a little bit further up the page. More blue, a bit more yellow. If you follow my page or me, you'll know that I do like, rather than sort of using a pre-prepped green, I like sort of mixing my own on the page. I just find, I don't know, I just find regular pre-mixed greens very flat. I find if I do this, it just has a lot more life to it because it's automatically got tonal value. So we've got that, then I've got, this is Build a Branch. So we'll get some more leaves down. Different variety, different shape. This time I'm just going to put in yellow because it's going to pick up the elements anyway of the ink that's sort of down there. Okay, and then I'll pull this back in, and I'm just going to add that yellow around the bottom of the page because we added the blue to the top, and just adding the yellow is just going to make the top half blue, the bottom half green. So even though this isn't accurate and doesn't look like sky and grass at all, it's almost telling the brain that that's kind of, it's giving it a bit of a story and a bit of a positioning. So yeah, that's a lot brighter, more colourful than I'd expected. Part of me is just wondering whether to knock back again. Let me have a little look. I have, it's my brayer to hand. I've not played with my brayer in ages. Is it anywhere around? Oh yes, it is. Sorry for all the clumping. I am just going to try and make this a bit more, I think I'm going to put a lot on. I'm just going to put some dots on gesso onto my brayer because I don't want to overly, I'm just wondering if it's going to hit random bits then. That's quite nice. Now I'm going to get carried away and want to put extra paint colours on, but I'm not because I really need to be getting on with this. But just to, yeah, knock it back and make it look a bit more patchy this time, I'm going to go with putting it on the Right, what I do want to do is just grab my tinted pencils. Oh, we went to the Derwent Pencil Museum. So amazing. I had so much fun. In the guides it says that that, you know, it's about an hour to sort of go around it fully or something. I think 4 hours later my daughter and I were still there because it was great fun learning about all the pencils, and then of course they had colouring pages and lots of different pencils to try. They just had seats with them. You could just sit down and colour in. So it's like we both sat and did a whole colouring in page each, and then we hit the shop. And of course, by the time we'd coloured in, we were like, knew what Kezia wanted. She wanted the Academy colours and she wanted some Pro colours, and I wanted something else. So then we both spent a fortune in the shop. But you know, as part of your holidays, that's what you do. I also got some pastels, handmade pastels from Derwent. And they got all the stuff in the mines that were nearby. So that should be fun. Quite a limited colour palette, to be honest. Something I've not used. Oh, and I also got pastel pencils from Derwent, which will be a new thing that I need to play with. Right, so I'm just going to, just along the edges of this paper, I'm hoping it's going to catch the paper as I just wet it. I'm going to take a couple of different shades of brown. This is ink tints, so at the moment in time when you first layer it down, it is water soluble, but it is ink in the lead. So once it's dry, it's permanent, which actually means you could sort of make your own bags and t-shirts. Once it's wet and once it's been, you know, once it's been made wet, it's permanent. Nothing you can do about it, you know. But I love it for mixed media because it does just mean that you get a really nice, you can really build up the colours, because normally when you work with a water reactive product, as soon as you add more water or try to add another layer, you move the layers that's underneath. That doesn't happen with ink tints, which just, as I say, makes it one of the coolest mixed media products. It really does. It's so cool. So this is partly why I've got the vertical stripes here, but I had a few horizontal. What I'm doing now by doing this is just creating a little bit of grounding. I'm actually just going really dark in this corner. Let's pull that in. So I'm creating a little bit of grounding for Lady Dot and whatever else, our little Ladybug characters that our Dawn's created. So we'll have a little bit grounding here. And as I said, I was just hoping it would fall in amongst the tears of those, of that paper, and just help to highlight the texture of the paper a little bit and build it up. And then I just really want to make this corner quite a bit darker. Quite dark down here by just drawing directly onto it, and then it's not, I guess I'm having to tap it there just to maintain that a little bit. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Nice contrast. So just gonna grab the old heat gun again and get that dry. So what am I using? I'm using sepia ink, tan and amber. I'm very lucky. I do have the whole set. It was an anniversary present from my hubby many moons ago. I was very happy that day, I tell you. Right, and I'm just going to sort of tap it with the brush going up so that I don't have sort of solid lines like that. It's going to look a lot more organic. That's fab. Right, I'm just going to dry that off. So I have these elements, this bit here and Lady Dot, I have obviously stamped on white paper and coloured that up, and then because I've cut them out with that bit of an edge, they've got that white line. I'm not loving that on this particular page because we've got very earthy tones, we've got the cream background, so to me the white is too stark. So what I would do then is just pull my blending mat out, and I've got Vintage Photo here, and I'm just going to very lightly, oops, and she says very lightly, she says absolutely loading up. That mushroom's now got brown dots instead of white, but as light as I can actually manage, I'm just going to go around the edges of that, knock that white back a little bit, so that it blends into the background a little bit better, and I think that will just make me a little bit happier. So I tend to do this a lot. I kind of start off white because it's just handy, it's sort of universal, but then if it doesn't look right on the page, it's a really easy way of just sort of making it so it belongs on the page. So I'll just get all of that done. Oops, I'm very heavy-handed today. I don't know what's going on. It's alright. Be alright. There we go. See, I think with that brown in the background anyway, that's all going to be good. Actually, talking of which, because we've ended up going brown here instead of green, let's just deepen that up as well. And it really will tone in with the colours that we've added to those things. Just give that more of a definite edge as well. Okay. So I'm trying to decide if I want her. I think we will. We'll go for it. We'll have that stuck down. Right, I'm going to just put a little bit of glue because I thought what we could do is sort of just tack, actually I might tack them on first. Tack some of Dawn's little Ladybug elements onto this branch. So that we increase the number of ladybirds on that. I have another little one. So I'm trying to just tuck it so it looks part of it. Right, but also need the lady dot to have room to stand. So should we do right. I'm not wanting too much of that spilling over because I will have to cut that off. That's looking quite. I'm going to have to stick this down in a warner a bit later, so I'm just trying to place. You can sort of have an element of adhesion to where it's going to sit, and then we can load it up with glue in a minute. Okay, sorry about that. That was my mum phoning. She actually phones every Friday and reads my daughter her bedtime story. They've done it since it started in lockdown. Because we couldn't see them, and so like my mum would read Kezzy her little bedtime story. Trying to just get this one peeking. Just there we go. Just there. Now Dawn's ladybugs don't have antennae, and mine do. So just to uniform them a little bit, once I've got this stuck down, I think I will just draw in some little antennae. So now I've got all that layered up, I will put plenty of glue on and stick them down. And then I've had a little bit of a crazy idea that if Dawn doesn't mind me decapitating her poor little I am sorry Dawn, I do love you, but I'm thinking that the big ladybugs could make some quite funky borders, but they may need to be decapitated in order to do so. Do forgive me, Dawn, please forgive me. Right, and so we'll put that there like so. And then oh, isn't that cute? I love it. It does. I'm actually glad we've gone for the brown there. It makes it really vintage. But I'm thinking that if I did something like that, you'd sort of have a bit of a funky top. I'm going to go for it. I'm sorry, Dawn. I'm so sorry. I'm decapitating your bugs. So I'm going to do that. Dear. And then what I'll do is, let's just even that up. I might hunt for some clouds. Oops, because it's me. Oops. There we go. Now I know that border now has half a face, but I'm thinking that if I'm so sorry, Dawn. I just looked at it and thought that would make it really cool. I think it does make it really cool. But now if I just get my black pro marker, well, that's going to take a couple of layers. If I just get my black pro marker and black out that bit, we might have to put clouds there as well. Black that bit out. I'm sorry, Dawn. I do love you. Right, I'm going to grab my Inktense pencils again, do a bit more shadowing, but this time instead of the browns, I am going to go blue. So I've got a couple of different blues, and I'm just going to go around here, like so. And we'll just pull that out. And emphasise the decapitated ladybugs. Please forgive me, Dawn. I'm so sorry. I feel really bad. I feel like I've hurt your children or something. Well, I know what it's like to have nice characters that you've made. Although, to be honest, this is like a range coming up, so I can't reveal too much. But one of my design team made a card, and she made flowers out of the girl. She'd literally just like chopped her head off. And then like what was left of the dress and the legs became like stalks and flowers. It was well cool. So I'm hoping Dawn feels this is well cool and not going, my poor babies. Right, so I'll get some, this is not the best brush, I don't know what I'm trying to do here. I'm going to get some shadowing in around our lady dot and just around that bit there, and again doing that, it's sort of, I'm bringing the eye in. I've sort of made this, you know, I've almost like framed it by having the bit down here and the bit up there, and so we're sort of training the eye to go down and look down the page. Oh, I'll change that brush. It's absolutely rubbish for what I'm trying. I mean, I'm sure it's a good brush for something else, but it's just, it's not overly forgiving for what I'm trying to do right now. And the trouble is, once this dries, it's permanent, as I was explaining before with Inktense pencils. So I kind of need it to be fluid so that I've got more manoeuvrability. I've also managed to just put she's got a big blue bit in the middle of her head now. Oh well. Not quite sure how that's happened. But hey ho. Is what it is. Right, so just building that up. I feel bad. This is normally the bit that I fast forward, but to be honest, I'm kind of getting to the end of this bit now anyway, so I might just sort of stay with you. And what I will do is go and find some clouds, and we'll have a couple of cloud dangles. This is very, very vintagey and browny and dark for me. I'm normally very bright and in your face. I've gone in a very different direction to where I would normally go, so it's quite exciting. Yeah, it does bother me she's got a very blue face, but the only other thing I can think to do is grab the water, and because actually your face will take in, I'm actually just going to put the blue over her whole face, because right now she's got a patch and it looks weird. But if I put a very pale blue over all her face, I think that'll actually look better. And that might just sound weird, but you actually look at your skin, so you reflect the colour. You do tend to reflect a lot of the colours around you. See, there's actually blue in my skin there. This bit looks quite yellowy. So that's perfectly normal, but I think it's better. In fact, a lot of people, when they do their shadow colours, when they're colouring, will go for a blue-grey under the skin tones. So. But I think that looks better because now it doesn't look like a big patch. Right, I'm going to wander off because I'm sure I will have clouds lying about somewhere. So I will sort that and then I will come back to you. So, got myself some clouds. I want 3 and I've got 2, but that's okay because I'm going to make it look like 3 in a minute. Put 1 there. And I'm going to put 1 there. And then I'm going to chop properly. That's just that I was rushing that and didn't put enough glue. Oh no, actually I don't want that quite as far over. I need a bit more shown. Right, so I have that there. Okay. And then we'll chop that off. And just stick that over here. And then I've got my 3 clouds. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab a doodle pen. And I'm just going to turn these into cloud dangles because why wouldn't you? I wonder if Dawn's chopped her. Hope I'm not on the naughty state for decapitating Dawn's ladybugs. Right, so turn that into dangles. I'm now also just going to do a little wiggle squiggle border because I love wiggle squiggle borders. And do what makes you happy. It's your journal. Doesn't really matter what happens in it. Journal is a place to practice, to experiment. Each page does not have to be a work of art. I love the fact that art journaling has become so popular. I really do. But I also think because it's become so popular, it's kind of a bit off-putting as well, and that people think, you know, they have to produce an amazing work of art in every page, and that just completely takes away from what a journal originally was. You look at all famous artists, they had like books with just rough sketches and things in them, right? And they weren't the ones that ended up in art galleries. They were just where they practiced, and it was because they practiced so much in sketch pads. And I've got masses of sketch pads. Very few of my sketches turn into stamps. You know, I have more disasters than I have ones that work right. So it's good to just play in your journal and not overthink it, and just, you know, it's a place to practice. Right, this sentiment said, sending you a ladybug hug. Obviously, this is in my journal, so I'm not really sending it to anyone, so that didn't feel appropriate, but I do like the expression ladybug hug. So I just chopped that bit off, and I'm just going to sit it there. And I think that's looking awesome, but I do feel I'm just going to get my pro marker because I've ended up not putting something over this bit here. So I'm just going to give that another layer. To hide the fact that we've chopped up a ladybug. Oh, and I want to give these little guys antennae, because as I said, my ladybugs have antennae and Dawn's don't, which is fine, but just to make it look like they're all part of the same little family, I'm going to put antennae on them so that they match. So there's not one of them teasing, oh, where's your antennaes? Or, ha ha ha, check your antennaes. Either way. Right, I want white splashes. Where is my white splashy ink? Trouble is, here it is. I'm crafting. Like, when we got home from our holiday ages ago, and it's like I was really good. For once I was actually really good after a holiday. By the next day I had all my orders packed from the TV show. And I had all my what do you call it, like holiday stuff packed, washed, ironed, and it was on my list to sort of craft stuff out as well, but somehow that still never happened. So I always find when I come back from having been to Telebox Land, it takes me a while to sort of have it, because everything's still in temporary bags and things. Right, I'll just do that, protect my little arrangement. But I think because I have gone quite dark for me on this page, it is needing lightened up. And one of the best, it's getting thick, one of the best ways you can do that is with contrast. So I'm going to add that contrast by getting a bit of white in there, and I'm going to do that with white splashes. And that is why quite often white splashes really lift a page. White or black splashes really do make such a difference to a page, and that is why. It's because it provides that contrast.
and so suddenly everything else just looks a lot brighter. I'm going to just switch my page round because I find if I do that, my terrible pronunciation, my splashes look more random because you don't tend to, they're not directional. If you just do it one way, you tend to find you've got a whole load going at that one particular angle. Switching it just sort of changes the angles round, so it looks more natural in my opinion. So that is that there. I am just going to give my desk a little tidy so that we can have a look at this page without all the clutter, and yeah, that'll be us. Okay, so that is my page all finished. Really fun. I've enjoyed just doing a journal page. I do just enjoy playing in my journal sometimes. I've not been crafting for a while, so that just, it feels nice. It's nice to exercise those creative muscles a little bit. So thank you so much for joining me. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing. Please do also go and visit the gorgeous Dawn. Can't wait to see what she has done with the challenge this time. And I will be back with some more crafty goodness very, very soon. So take care then, and goodbye.